So, tell me something terrible.
Then I can take another drink.
Yes, please do. You spilled my wine on our tablecloth, by the way. It looks like blood spatter.
No, it doesn't. It's too purple.
It's very iron rich.
Or oxygen depleted.
Okay.
Blood's not really blue.
Really? I know. You ready to do this?
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
This is where you start.
Hi, I'm Tiffany.
Hi, I'm Scott.
And you're listening to Tell Me Something Terrible.
A podcast.
Where I tell him something terrible.
I was just going to leave it at a podcast.
All right. We'll nail down this beginning eventually.
Nope.
Okay.
It's very well scripted. It's the same every time.
Scripted is a cute word for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. We do have another shout out.
Yes.
This is becoming quite a routine now.
It is.
Completely fine with that.
Me too.
We have another patron. It is... Do you want to shout this one out?
No, you can't. This is your bit.
My bit?
Yep, your whole bit.
You do all the hard work, and I just get to shout out the patrons?
You edit.
I do. I'm not saying I do nothing. I just do less. Okay. Patron, new one, is Jake the Snake Howland. Although he's a teacher, so we can call him Mr. Howland.
Did we ever figure out which school he teaches at now?
No, and we wouldn't put that out here anyway.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
He's probably listening to this while metal detecting somewhere.
Probably.
Just beep. Well, I guess that wouldn't work. You need to hear the beeps, and you can't listen to a podcast.
Yeah.
Anyway, we appreciate your patronage, Jake. Big fan.
Big fan.
And he is actually the one that gave me the idea for the bonus pod, which if you haven't seen or heard about, it's on our Patreon. It's one where I had to do all the research and actually do work and then tell it to Tiff, and he's the one that gave me the inspiration behind that story of murder.
Yep, and you can join at any level to access all that extra.
Yep, literally a diller will get you a whole extra episode a month.
Ooh.
Woo.
Selling our souls over here.
And our pins are being shipped. They're supposed to be here Monday.
Yeah, they are.
That's exciting.
Yep.
Well, if you're listening to this on a Tuesday, they came in yesterday.
Yay!
We're like time travelers. Anyway, and then those will go out after, second month of patronage at whatever level that is. $5. Yep. So those should be here. You'll see them on social media or wherever.
Of course.
So, shameless plugging.
Exactly.
You giggle every time we say plugging. You're such a freaking perv. All right.
I can't help it.
I'm 12. Exactly. Let's do a podcast.
Exactly. I have the humor of a 12-year-old boy.
Yes. Yep.
And I bumped the mic.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
Start
no.
over. Start over.
Erase it all.
Yep.
So you ready to get started then?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
So.
How's this one? 2-word synopsis. I like to be prepared. I like to be preppered.
Last execution in Michigan.
That's like 4 words.
Executions in Michigan.
Well, you already ruined it, but yeah. Okay, last execution, like from a prison?
Yeah, for murder.
Murder?
Murder.
Okay. Was it by... I don't know how far back it was. Are we talking hanging or electric chair? Or
hanging.
Hanging? Okay.
I told you, we literally were the first... We were the first...
Firing squad?
No. We were the first English-speaking settlement to ban the death penalty.
Michigan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like, in the world.
Huh.
Yes.
Full of fun facts.
Yep.
We're from Michigan, for all you not from Michigan, which is more people than are, maybe, now. Yeah.
What a bunch of jerks,
Look
guys.
at us going.
Come on.
International sorts.
No, states.
Mostly other states. But
all right. Ready? Stop
let's do it.
Yapping.
Sorry.
Okay. So, technically, Michigan as a state has never sentenced anyone to death, but Michigan has sentenced people to death while it was under French control and while it was a territory, and one man was put to death under the federal jurisdiction.
Okay. So was it the last and only?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
We'll get to it.
Okay.
I had a whole
I'm
list.
Impatiently waiting while
right.
I take my socks off.
With your toes?
Yes.
Okay.
We're getting serious now.
I don't have pants on, so, whatever.
It's upstairs. It's hotter in our house upstairs. What are you gonna do?
Exactly. Oh, the summertime is going to be miserable.
A little bit. I'm going to be just sitting here on ice packs. There's just going to be a puddle under me when we're done. I'll blame it on the ice.
So we'll go over all of the executions and in a couple of like the shallow dive cases. So we officially became part of the Union in 1837. So if anybody's not from the U.S., which there are a few, they did like the 13 original colonies, and then we slowly, that got turned into states, and then we progressed.
Are you going to give a full American? Just Google
No,
it.
just progress westward,
Yeah.
and manifest destination, and then like all these territories had to do stuff. I don't know
Are
what.
you going to say manifest destination every episode?
Yeah,
It's
no,
like
just the
3 in a
last
row.
two.
I
Whatever.
think it's more than that.
It's important, got to conquer the world, us Americans.
Anyway.
So yeah, I don't know if you apply for statehood or whatever. Anyway, they decided that Michigan was going to become a state in 1837.
They were smitten with it.
Smitten with the mitten.
Yeah, that was implied. Anyway, keep going, would you?
Not everybody's from here. Anyway.
That's fine. I think everybody knows what shape Michigan is.
Yeah, that is
It's
true.
like, if you look at the map, you're like, there's Florida and there's Michigan.
People can usually identify Alaska as well.
Okay. I was talking the lower 48 or whatever they
The
call it.
landlocked 48.
Whatever, yeah.
Anyway, the death sentence for common criminal laws such as like murder and all of that stuff was made illegal in 1846. And the law went into effect in 1847, making Michigan the first state to ban the death sentence. And later in 1963, we completely banned it, making it unconstitutional, even for cases involved with treason, which I think is like the only thing that was allowed for the death penalty. It was like any other normal.
I would not have guessed. If you could have given me like a list of crimes, I wouldn't have picked treason as the one that was the exception to the death penalty for the longest time.
Yeah, especially because like the entire reason why this country exists is because of
Treason?
yes.
Yeah.
So I think it was the only thing that was allowed in the state. There was a lot of different information from a lot of like smaller articles or a lot of caveats. I didn't quite get it. Obviously, I only have an associate's degree. And then like a lot of the articles just sounded like a lot of people just pushing up their glasses and going, well, actually, it was technically not unconstitutional until blah 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 blah. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah, I clearly was just in a bad mood when I was reading those articles because like the voice in my head was even bitchy. So
Just
can't help
negative Nancy reading.
yeah.
God, this is terrible.
It's been a really hard week.
Move along.
So in 1830, Stephen Gifford Simmons was the last person to be executed when Michigan was still a territory and not officially part of the Union yet. I did see mention of a Native American several years after Simmons' hanging that was named Waiabuanimimi, who was hung for murder, but I only found this information on Wikipedia, which
So put an asterisk next to it.
Yes. It was, and then like all the information that I found on other articles seemed to just be kind of a repeat of that list. And then when I did Google his name, I did find a corrections page on Wikipedia that was like, you need to correct this fact. Mm-hmm. And I didn't quite understand what they were getting at when they were like, we're related to this family who knew this family, and therefore this fact needs to be removed. Because it was incorrect. So I'm not 100% sure. That's the only information that I found.
Waiabua?
Yeah.
Or
so
whatever you said.
I did find a
close,
book.
Right?
I did find a book called Jacktown that I need to find and read because it's about the prisons in like the early 1800s in Jackson. So I think that would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I lost my spot.
You're literally underlining
I
it.
I know.
I would look where your underline stops, and then I'd start from there.
Yep. Okay. So in addition to Simmons' death, 4 people were executed under French rule. 5 were executed under British rule. One was an unknown female slave, so they didn't even have a name for her. And 4 more prior to Stephen Simmons while it was a territory before it became a state.
So the last one ever was in 1830?
Technically. There was one more after.
Okay, but the last confirmed one was 1830?
Mm-hmm. And when we banned it in 1847.
Okay, so just none happened in those 17 years?
No,
even though it was
none happened.
Technically legal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, none happened.
That's a long time ago.
Very long time ago. It's because this was like a spectacle, and I'll get to it. Clearly, that's the whole topic of this episode is. So Stephen Gifford Simmons' trial was a short one. Stephen was a tavern keeper in Detroit and was a big fan of whiskey, which he usually got the best of him. He would become violent while drunk, and one evening he took it out on his wife, Lavana.
I was starting to relate until he got violent, and I was like, okay.
Yeah. Usually you're into wine, no, more than whiskey.
Yeah.
So he took it out on his wife, Lavana, after trying to convince her to get drunk right along with him. She refused and went back to sleep, and this enraged Simmons. The two got into a fight, which led to a drunken Stephen punching Lavana so hard in the abdomen he killed her.
Oh, okay.
Aggressive.
In the abdomen and he killed her?
Yes.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't even know what you have to hit in someone's abdomen to kill them.
Your spleen?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't.
You have to rupture multiple things.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it was back in like the 1830s too, so I'm sure there wasn't a lot of food to go around.
Well, internal bleeding, yeah, they probably had no idea.
Yeah, and like I'm sure she was tiny because, corsets, lack of food, social standards for having an itty bitty waist. So it was hard to find an impartial jury due to the small size of Detroit at the time.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
What?
There was like 2,800 people in Detroit at the time.
It was roomy.
Yeah. It was the capital of the territory.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's so much I don't know about history, it's embarrassing.
Blame it on the American education system.
All right.
And how much the people detested him for the crime. He was ultimately sentenced to death by hanging.
They should have had 12 guys punch him in the stomach as hard as they could. An eye for an eye.
Yeah. The trial lasted 1 day.
Oh, so he was guilty before proven guilty.
Very much so.
Okay.
So the circuit judges at the time were also the Supreme Court judges in Michigan, so there was no hope for an appeal.
It's like you can appeal with the same guys that already think you're guilty?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, he was definitely guilty. It was the punishment by death that they were trying to fight.
Okay.
So within days after Simmons' trial, gallows were constructed on the north side of Detroit, along with grandstand-style seating for viewing of the hanging.
Oh, so it's like when the Olympics come to town. Mm-hmm. They build structures for these events.
Yep. So according to the author of the book, Hanging in Detroit, Stephen...
That's a terrible name.
Well, he does a causality report, essentially, on the death penalty.
But that's like hanging with my friends, hanging in Detroit. Oh, it's a person literally swinging in the wind, hanging in Detroit.
Yes. And so it was, anyway, Stephen Simmons in the last execution under Michigan law. David Chardavoine.
Nailed it.
Yep. Said, quote, an estimated 2,000 people turned up to watch him. That's
almost the whole city.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
And for their, quote, comfort and entertainment, the authorities had wooden grandstands erected on 3 sides of the scaffolding, uniformed militia to be deployed around the scaffolding as a guard of honor, a military band to serenade the crowd while it waited for the main event, and vendors to patrol the grounds hawking food, whiskey, and
I was going to say, was there food trucks? And there was literally...
Yes. And alcohol. It was literally like in a band. It was a big to-do.
I don't know if the Tigers were around yet in Detroit then, but
doubtful.
I feel like this was the first great event.
A lot of hangings were like that. It was one of the reasons why a lot of places have banned the death penalty, because
People
long
got
ago,
so excited about it.
Yes, it was a big crowds of thousands.
Well, even now, when they do the injections, people gather outside until it's finalized.
Yeah,
which is super morbid.
Yes,
some people I get
and if they fuck up the cocktail and use expired drugs, there was an execution that happened within the last few years that they fucked up the cocktail and it was seizure inducing, and they were that was cruel.
Can you imagine Though, like, just on the topic, firing squads to me are insane for every party
There are
involved.
places that want to reinstate firing squads as a death penalty.
Yeah. And everybody that volunteers to be part of the firing squad, like, needs help.
Yeah. But they do that. They put so many people and they put the bag over the guy's head and, like, everybody just takes aim, so they don't know who it is that did it officially. That's why they have so many people that do it. So they're supposed to alleviate the guilt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or well, never mind.
Yeah.
It's just, it's...
The guy who hung Simmons...
Crazy.
I was reading the guy... Nope, not Simmons. The guy who hung the last man to be hung in Michigan under federal law was a previous felon. And the guy asked him, he was an atheist. I didn't include this part, but I thought it was a fun tidbit. The guy who died, the guy who's hung under federal jurisdiction, was an atheist who read socialist writings. He kind of laughed a lot about the whole thing. And so he asked the guy who was going to pull the lever to let him drop if he was getting paid for this. And the guy was like, no, I'm just here to make it quick for you. And the guy who hung him was already a felon.
Was it part of his community service?
I have no idea.
Do they have a name besides, like, the Hangsman? Do they have an actual name?
I mean, that guy's last name was Smith, but that's all I could tell you.
Is it a Gallower?
I don't know. I would imagine it would just be Hangsman.
I thought, random facts. I was hoping you could pull that one out
That
of your
one
ass.
I don't know. And you'd think in all of the searching I would have found it, but I didn't.
Yeah.
So we're going to go with Hangsman. What else would he be?
I don't know.
Like the Harbinger of Death? That's what I would want. I would want a name tag.
The
with
Reaper?
Harbinger.
Yeah.
Yes. So on September 24th, 1830, Simmons was hanged in front of a crowd of 2,000 people, with the executioner being the local sheriff, who resigned after citing religious reasons.
If he wasn't toting a machine gun, I'm not interested.
No, just a Hangsman's news.
I was going to be like, what, a Tommy gun at that? No.
1830s?
Even before that,
No,
yeah.
Nothing. Like, would you like this rifle that takes you 15 minutes?
I got a musket.
Yeah. The bayonet might be more useful in this case.
They shot him out of a cannon.
It's across Gettysburg.
Yeah.
So Simmons' last words were said to be a hymn, but no, this information was repeated years after the spectacle, whereas newspapers at the time had no such quote. So it was just something to kind of zhuzh up the story.
Yeah.
So the governor at the time, named Lewis Cass, in a yearly speech just a few months later, said that
There's a Cass Avenue in Detroit. That makes a lot of sense.
It does, doesn't it?
Uh-huh.
So he said that he was sorry that the law did not allow him to lessen Simmons' death sentence to just time in prison. At the time of the hanging, the only option the governor had was to pardon people of crimes and not to remove the death penalty as an option.
Yeah, and he obviously wasn't going to be like, I'll pardon the guy that everyone hates and thinks is guilty.
No, he definitely was guilty.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying, like, he wasn't going to pardon him of a crime.
No, you still need to serve your time. He just didn't want it to be death. But there was no other option in his powers at the time. And in a separate but possibly unrelated, maybe possibly related note, Governor Cass had left the state to visit family in Ohio while the hanging took place.
So he didn't want to be witness to it. And he probably would have been expected to be there.
Allegedly, but yeah.
And I mean, he went to Ohio, so you know it was not a legit reason.
No. Especially to see his mother. Ugh.
Better than his mother-in-law.
What's wrong with your mother-in-law?
Mine?
Yeah.
We'll see if she gets to episode 13.
So he did thorough. So the writer of the shard. Shoot, I cannot pronounce his last name. I don't know why I just said shoot. Like I dropped fuck very casually,
Poop.
and then I was like, oh no, I forgot this guy's last name. The dude who wrote the book Hanging in Detroit.
Yeah, it sounded like Charlevoix, but it wasn't.
No, very close though.
Yeah.
So he did a thorough causality research as to why Michigan banned the death penalty for the common laws, which is not treason, and he came to the conclusion that the Simmons case isn't the hard reason as to why it was banned. It may have been a contributing factor to the overall general feeling of the legislator at the time, and after all, an angry mob after Simmons' hanging, they tore down Detroit's public whipping post.
Wait, there was still a public whipping post?
Yes, and immediately after...
That feels so medieval.
Yes, and yes.
That feels like biblical.
Immediately after Simmons...
Who's in charge of putting the public whipping post in? Is that like a city ordinance?
I don't know, but there was an angry mob after they hung Simmons. Yeah, after they hung Simmons, they tore it down.
It's just one post, right?
I don't know.
Is it a facility?
No, it's just usually
Does
a
it have
post,
stands
and they
too?
usually have
like it has
irons from it,
grandstands too.
there's like the little thing where they stick your head and your arms in. What is that called? Doesn't matter. That would take us forever to come up with that word. Jamie again is probably shouting it.
He will comment on this episode. Yes. They do have names. All I can think of is gallows, and I know it's not that obvious.
No, the gallows is where they hang them.
Yep.
And
stirrups are the things that your gynecologist. I don't know what those are called though. It's somewhere in between those two.
I've had way too many pap smears. Anyway, so the author does contribute the abolishment.
By the way, you could use one of those to deliver a baby. Just put your ankles in each side, and the baby comes right through the hole where the head usually goes.
Oh, where they... Yeah. Stocks. The word is stocks.
Yes. Yep. That would make sense.
What a horrible way to give birth. I wouldn't know.
Stocks are those, and then like stocks and bonds could be like almost
the
like
things
cuffs.
that hold you to it to
it's
force you.
Stocks and bonds. Yeah. Anyway,
it's whatever. This English language is confusing.
I love word association so much.
Anyway, he does contribute the abolishment of the overall, of the death penalty to the overall personalities of people that were settling in Michigan at the time. He says that the legislators at the time in 1846 were comprised mostly of young men who were adventurous and optimistic enough to leave their friends and family for the wild frontier. And according to his psychologist friends, which
his psychotic friends.
Yeah, no, people that actually study psychology.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming he has a lot of friends that are psychologists because he is a law professor at Wayne State. People like that tended to be against capital punishment.
People like what?
That wander into the abyss to look for gold and settlement and people that just wanted to expand.
Yeah.
They
pioneers.
Yes. They generally tended
Oregon
to be
Trail type.
Yes, they generally tended to be against capital punishment.
Yeah, they would just die of dysentery.
That's exactly right. Or you would kill them on a computer.
That's an Oregon Trail joke in case you aren't in your 30s.
So there was also a man hung in Canada shortly after that was accused of rape, and another man confessed to it on his deathbed. So that sort of news spread around.
Oh, so he was wrongly hung?
Yes. And so that sort of news got spread around, so people were like, maybe we shouldn't have the death
I was going to make a
penalty.
Canada joke, and then you said rape, and I was like, all jokes are off the table.
Yeah, good
yeah,
good choice.
You really just
brought it down.
Yep.
Yeah. So there was a big push to abolish the death sentence in Michigan when it became a state. So that's why it's not part of our Constitution.
It's because we're pretty much part of Canada.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's a very Canadian thing to eliminate the death penalty.
They're real nice.
Allegedly. I've only been there once.
I don't know. Have you met the geese, though? They're a bunch of dicks.
What?
The geese. The Canadian geese.
I've never... When have you been offended by a goose?
Just their mere existence. They hiss at you all the time.
Yeah, because they got babies.
Yeah. And they're getting hit by golf
I've
balls.
seen you almost hiss at a grown-ass human because they looked at your baby wrong, okay?
Okay, look. This motherfucker...
I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying, don't give the geese crap for doing something you would.
Right.
I know. You don't.
But they're not accosting you in Meyer going, oh, your child's so beautiful. You know what? She deserves some candy. Can I buy her a toy? No, weird-ass dude in a fucking, amoeba, what are those fucking
Amigo?
things? Amigo, yeah. Go the fuck away.
He's an amoeba.
He practically was. He was just a blob of a man. I've had people buy shit for her in the checkouts and stuff. I just can't.
I'm just saying.
All right, so Mama Bear comes out.
Okay, and so does Mama Goose. So maybe the geese aren't dicks. They're just protective. They got instincts. All right? I don't trust humans. You don't trust humans. Don't blame the geese for not trusting humans. Will you go on with your story? We've gone on this geese tangent for 6 minutes, all right? This is turning into a deep dive episode.
It is.
45 minutes of geese talk. I just want French toast now. Maple syrup.
We've got some Japanese maples. Maybe we can tap those.
And a Molson. That's what I'm having for breakfast tomorrow.
Your sugar's just going to spike.
No, we got that sugar-free syrup.
Oh.
Can you go on with your story for the 12th time?
Anyway, I've had too much wine for this.
Apparently.
So there was a push for the death penalty to be reinstated in 1881, but it didn't get anywhere. When she heard about it, Sojourner Truth addressed Michigan's Congress saying, "It shocked me worse than slavery. I've heard that you are going to have hanging again in this state. Where is the man or woman who can sanction such a thing as that? We are the makers of murderers if we do it." And so it didn't pass.
It's like the whole cast the first stone if you are, She went biblical on them.
Yes.
Yeah. You want to become murderers? Start hanging people
Yeah.
for murdering.
Good idea.
Good logic.
Yep. I don't know though. Like, I'm on the fence about the death penalty because, like, there are some people that just maybe should, be hung. But it's walking a really fine line.
I'm pro-life in prison. Without parole.
Well, they say it costs less money with all of the chemicals and stuff like that and liability insurance just to have them.
You go to Lowe's, we could build gallows tomorrow. Oh, you're talking the injection kind, yeah.
Yes.
That's
more humane way to
because I would have just made the joke. We have enough lumber in the barn. We could just build. It'd be a fun Halloween decoration.
Oh, it would be.
People would burn our house down.
It'll just say patriarchy on the top of it. It'll be great. No, our neighbors would, I'm pretty sure, just like.
Oh, yeah. No, it would definitely not be considered funny.
Nope.
Especially since our town has like racist undertones all throughout its history.
Yes.
So let's not drum any of that up.
Yeah. Oh, come on. Your wife walking around with like a shaved head and yellow hair doesn't piss off the locals enough.
I mean, people know who you are.
I love this town.
Good. We live here. Uh-huh. Will you keep on with your story?
Anyway.
It's almost tomorrow.
So all of this led us to the last execution in the state of Michigan under federal jurisdiction.
For treason?
No. Oh. This one's under federal.
Okay.
So treason was only allowed. The hanging for treason was only allowed under actual Michigan
is as
law.
Confused as I am.
I know, I was too. Seriously, I read so many articles.
Do you feel like a lawyer now?
So, no. Everything for the death penalty was off the table. So, like, you couldn't murder, no robberies, no rape, no nothing. You couldn't be hung for anything unless it was treason.
Okay.
So this man was hung in the state of Michigan under federal jurisdiction because he robbed a bank, which is federal jurisdiction.
Oh, it must have been like a federal bank?
All banks. Any bank that you rob is a federal crime.
Okay.
So.
Put that in my memory bank of things not to do.
Yep. So his name was Anthony. I'm going to have you try to pronounce that right here.
Okay, I'm really good at it.
This guy. Right there. That circle. You say it.
Anthony Shabataris.
Okay. We're going to go with that. So Anthony Shabataris was hanged on July 8th, 1938.
Yeah.
So this was like...
Shabataris sounds like an anatomical region, by the way. That's the technical term for a taint, actually. Ooh, that's my Shabataris. Watch it there.
So this next bit is kind of chaotic. So on September 29th, 1937, after being in and out of prison several times for armed robbery already, Anthony Shabataris was... It took me forever. It took everything inside of me now to be like, Anthony Taint.
Anthony.
Anyway, he was...
Let's just call him Tony from now on. Can we call him Tony? No, just Tony.
Aunt Tony? Okay.
Just
Tony.
Aunt Tony. Just Tony.
Okay. So Tony and his accomplice, Jack Gracie, a former fellow prison inmate, walked in...
Both great dog names. Jack Gracie. Like, those are great dog names.
Next dog.
Just Jack Gracie total?
Yep.
Like, what is he? I don't know.
So they walked into the chemical bank in downtown Midland with a revolver and a sawed-off shotgun. Gracie threatened the bank...
I like their style.
Yep. Gracie threatened the bank president named Clarence McComber with his shotgun. A scuffle started.
We're related to some McCombers, by the way. Fun fact.
We are.
Yeah. Keep going. Not that I'm sure they're not.
You are, not me.
okay, through marriage.
Yep. So a scuffle started, and mid-fight, Tony. I'm gonna have to change. I wrote all my last names, so now I have to like stop and rename him
Every time you see Chibataris.
Yes. So he shot McComber in the shoulder with his revolver, along with another employee, which I read somewhere he was the head teller, in the stomach. So the two fled the scene, Tony and Gracie.
Uh-huh.
So as they were fleeing, a dentist named Dr. Frank Hardy that was located above the bank spotted them running and decided to take matters into his own hands by shooting at the two with his rifle.
Get him. Mm-hmm. Dentist with a gun.
He gets them.
Does he?
Yeah, one. So as they made their getaway, they drove into a park.
Okay, why does the dentist have a rifle on standby?
Second Amendment, bro.
Okay. I mean, like, I realize they're different times, but like when you're like going to a dentist office, he's got like a rifle hanging on the wall. Well, you never know when someone's gonna try to steal a tooth. like why? Okay. Anyway, like I understand a shop owner like having a gun, or even the bank people having guns, but why does a dentist have a gun?
You know, he's just a real patriot.
Okay.
He's a good guy with a gun.
Keep going.
Anyway, they drove into a parked car as they were trying to make their getaway.
They drove into parked cars?
Yeah, they were like, shit, we got to get out of here, and like sped off and crashed into a car.
Nice.
Yep. So
at 13 miles an hour because it was 18 to 30, whatever.
They might have made it to 25 miles an hour by then.
I just see him out front like cranking. Here we go. Crash.
So Tony
It was a Model T-Bone. Sorry. I don't even know when Model Ts were made. All right, this has gone
off the rails.
A little bit.
So Tony then got out of the car that they crashed in their getaway, shooting Willy Nilly at a truck driver named Henry Porter.
I thought Willy Nilly was an actual person for longer than I should have.
No, this gentleman was Henry Porter.
Okay.
Tony had mistook him as a police officer. So the dentist then took the advantage of this ensuing chaos, took aim, and shot Gracie in the head, killing him instantly.
Holy cow.
Yes, he was rewarded like a medal of like honor by like the local like Navy branch, and he was like real
for like
proud
tops
of it.
dentist marksmanship.
Yes, literally for marksmanship.
Yeah. Nice headshot, Doc. You crazy person.
Well, I mean, like dentistry back in like the 1830s was real rough.
Dentistry was probably a side hustle.
He had like his foot on the chair, just ripping molars out of people.
Yeah, just pouring whiskey down their throat.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yep.
Bite this belt.
Wallets. You bite wallets. That's it.
Oh, wallets instead of belts.
That was a joke conversation we had about at work today about.
Very niche callback is what you're.
Yes, and he doesn't listen to the podcast, so he won't get that.
Oh, damn.
Come on, Caleb, get it together.
Jesus.
All right. That's why you're single. Just kidding. He doesn't listen. I don't care.
Until he listens, and then he's going to be like, this motherfucker.
That's fine.
Just kidding. He would never say that.
He might.
He might?
No, I doubt
I clearly don't know him very well.
No.
I don't know. He's friends with Whitney, so maybe.
That's true.
So Tony turned to run off down some railroad tracks nearby. He tried to steal another car and was finally stopped by the sheriff.
Oh.
I told you it was chaos.
Okay, yeah. That feels like a fun movie scene.
Mm-hmm. So Tony was charged initially with attempted robbery, but 12 days after the shootout, the truck driver that he shot at...
Willy Nilly.
Yep, Willy Nilly. Henry Porter. He then died. Henry Porter did.
All right.
So his charge...
Attempted robbery now has become...
Murder. Yes. So he was found guilty on October 29th, 1937, and sentenced to death under the National Bank Robbery Act of 1934.
Oof.
He
was 4 years too late.
Yep. And that's where the Fed squawk it. Come into the picture.
Yep.
So the governor of Michigan at the time tried to get his sentence commuted to life in prison, or at least have the execution happen in a different state, since Michigan had banned the death penalty. He appealed all the way to President Roosevelt. Yeah.
How'd that go?
Not well. it all fell on deaf ears because of the loophole in the law regarding the death penalty being admissible if it was for charge of treason. So they're like, well, you still allow it for something, so we're still going to kill him here in Milan.
Okay.
Yep. And even the widow...
This land is your land. This land is mine. Sorry.
So even the widow of Henry Porter / Willy Nilly didn't get the death penalty for the man. She didn't want him to get the death penalty for the man that killed her husband. But in the end, Tony was hanged at dawn on July 8th, 1938 at the federal prison in Milan, Michigan.
Why is it always hanged? Is hung not a real word?
I don't think so.
Okay.
You would think so because, sang, sung.
Yeah. I just, every time it's always
hung.
Hanged, and I'm like, I cringe when I hear hanged. I know it's hanged.
Yeah.
I've heard it in like a million podcasts, but it's always hanged. And I'm like, I don't like the word hanged.
What do you want?
I don't know.
It was the 1800s.
That's true. All right, we're almost there. I can see a happy page.
See the end. Yep.
Yep.
So, and then in 1963, the death penalty was made unconstitutional and went into effect in 1964. So there was no more loopholes.
I wasn't alive, but my dad was 9.
So there was one other
Just for
person.
context.
It will be appreciated. Oh my gosh, I'm still burping. I really hope I didn't pick that up.
If it didn't, I'll enhance it like that.
Please don't. It was so bad.
I should have just named episode 12 The Burp.
No. It was awful. I listened. That was the first episode that I've listened to since we've started all of this. Just, quality control check in.
Because she doesn't edit it and I have to listen to every episode.
Yes, I was like, oh, that was awful, and I should not have allowed you to do that.
You didn't allow me to. I just had it. I had that, and I couldn't keep that from the general public.
Right, and I'm
to be
sure
out there forever.
Every single person that listened to that episode as their first time was like, oh, these people, they're savages. Anyway, there was supposed
She doesn't even say, excuse me.
Nope. No manners. I was raised by hippies. I don't know what you want from me. So there was one other person who was supposed to be sentenced to death under the federal law in Michigan in 2002, but the penalty was overturned by a panel of judges in 2013.
Why? What? Why in 2002?
That was when he committed the crime.
But it's been outlawed for 40 years at that point.
But it was federal.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
These stupid... Wait, federal people still... Oh, death penalty. I'm
Death
still
penalty.
stuck on hangings, and I was like, wait, in 2002 they wanted to hang someone?
No.
I was alive. I don't remember this.
No. By lethal injection, he was sentenced to death but because it was under a federal jurisdiction.
Do we even have anywhere that would do that anymore?
I don't know.
In the state?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Let's start asking corrections officers.
I know a few.
I know. I don't, but I don't know. I know people that go to, are
just
involved
ask one
with the
of
prison.
your couriers.
Yeah. Hey, next time you go to a prison, be like, do you guys do lethal injection here? They'll be like, no.
You're not allowed back.
Yeah.
We're going to call your boss. So it was later reinstated. They overturned it and was like, this isn't going to happen. But later it was reinstated by a full court. So I don't know if it's been completed yet. I didn't see anything saying that it was completed. So he's probably still alive, just waiting his death sentence in a state that doesn't actually allow it.
I feel like we would just ship him out to a different state at this point.
Yeah, especially under federal jurisdiction. I mean, there's enough states that do it, that they could find somebody.
I wonder, do you know what the split is?
No clue.
I don't know either. Think it's half?
No, it's more than
half do still?
Don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we haven't in...
Since 1830. Because the only person that was hung after we were instated into the Union
I think
was the federal government.
It's been illegal for 90 years here, or unconstitutional here, and there's still states that do it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Florida does. They just killed a man. I can't talk about it.
Florida, because of how public everything is just a crapshoot of crime.
Right.
Because you can find out about everything.
Public. Yeah, yeah. It's the sunshine laws.
Uh-huh.
A lot of other states don't have that sort of laws. So everybody's like, the Florida man, and it's crazy. And I'm like, nah, craziness happens everywhere. They're just more public about it.
Yeah,
they're just on the show. They're like, just so you know, don't come here. We're nuts.
Yeah. And if you do anything, we're going to tell
Everybody. Yeah.
No,
So it was like public shaming.
Yeah.
Everybody. Everybody
Yeah.
by public
They
shaming.
have a town crier. You just Google.
Google is
I've
the
never
town
Googled
crier.
what like my birthday and whatnot.
Oh, like Florida man with your birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
we
prob-
should do that.
Next step. We'll do as a bonus recording.
All right. Or
Just a little Patreon
for
tidbit
shits
there.
and gigs.
Yeah. Speaking of which, that video went live 2 days ago if you're listening to this on Tuesday.
That's true.
The ghost video.
Yep.
Allegedly. The spirit video.
The man in our barn.
Barn Man.
Barn man.
That's a terrible name.
He used to like us, so let's not piss him off.
Willy Nilly.
Willy Nilly.
That's the name of this episode, by the way.
Sounds great to me.
Willy Nilly truck driver.
Yep. So how you feeling after that?
That one was. I enjoyed the fact that it was informative and innocent people. Well, I guess innocent people died. And that's how we
yeah.
get.
Are you telling me that the Native American,
No,
most of the
that's
people
what I'm
that were hung
No.
prior, there was like 3 or 4 white dudes,
No,
and then
but,
everybody
like-
else was Native American or black.
Like the Lavana. Like obviously there's casualties like along the way, but the fact that you mostly focused on the death penalty for these terrible criminals, like that's easier for me to take, and it had fun Michigan history.
Yeah.
So I do enjoy history.
You just don't retain
My
it
left
well.
eye just started twitching hardcore.
He enjoys
Did
it
you-
so much.
My
His
eyes
eye
about
is
to fall
twitching.
out of my head. It's enjoying it so much. Yeah. Oh boy, I need to go to bed soon. Okay. But no, it was good. I appreciated it.
Yeah. We got back to true crime.
And if you made it this far, and this one got far off the rails many times, so it is a little bit of a long one.
How long is
Congratulations.
it?
We're like 40 some minutes now.
Shut the fuck up.
Okay.
Whoops. Sorry.
Now we just had to mark it explicit. Good job.
Damn it.
I wonder, do we get like X amount of swear words? We mark all of them explicit because I just assume you swear 20 times each episode. Or we combine like 18 and 2 swear words. But I wonder if there's like, if we say like one shit, do we have to mark it explicit?
I think shit is like one of the banned words. I think you're allowed to say like ass or damn, but you can't say God.
Okay. I'm just going to start everyone out with damn that ass. And then you'll drop 7 F-bombs and we'll get explicit.
Yep. I think it's funny that you were chatting with somebody and the thing that they found like the most like, not unsettling, but
The funniest?
yes, it was when I swear she doesn't seem like someone who would cuss.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, sir. You clearly don't know me well.
Jeff barely met you. He only met you in a professional setting.
Yes, that is true. At the scrapyard,
yeah.
behind bulletproof glass, that is soundproof. Yeah, motherfucker, you don't want to know what the hell I said when I worked there.
Yeah.
I dropped the C word, and the man I worked with, and the scales hit the floor and turned red because he was laughing so hard. And then I got a pen threw at me by the other chick I worked with, who was mad.
Yeah. But no, in like, so yeah, obviously he didn't like interact.
Oh yeah, I would.
But
never.
you also worked at a scrapyard. How do you think you talk? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like you weren't a sailor. You were a clerk at a scrapyard, or a scale master at a scrapyard.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I didn't reach quite the scale master level,
Scale
but
novice.
I did intern under Pete, if that's what you're getting at. I can tell you that in Indiana, their maximum weight capacity for trucks is 80,000. And in Michigan, it's 160.
Great knowledge.
Useless.
I hope everyone stopped listening at 42 minutes.
I hope so, too.
Anyway, thanks
Can I
for
drink
listening.
this wine now?
Can you wait till we like do our buys?
No.
Okay. But anyway, thank you for listening.
Okay, thank
and
you.
we appreciate all your support and your listens and all our new likes on Facebook page.
Yes, thank you.
All the new likes.
All the new likes.
We were like 80 and then we doubled somehow.
Appreciate it.
Share the page.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Love you.
I'm not going to say that to strangers.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to our terrible podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at TMSTPod.
And if you'd like to support the show, you can find us on Patreon at Tell Me Something Terrible.
Oof, that was terrible.